What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we finally got to see our very first look at the new Hazard Zone game mode in Battlefield 2042, and thanks to EA I actually have a heap of extra information on how the mode works. So we're going to be covering everything you need to know about Hazard Zone and giving you all the information right here in the one video. Like I said, a massive thank you to EA for inviting me to the early preview event for Hazard Zone. This is a mode that I've been super excited for since they first revealed the game, simply because I love Warzone, and this feels like it's going to scratch that really sort of intense squad-based itch for me personally, so I'm very keen to try it out when the game launches and see how it plays. But without wasting any more time, let's get stuck into all the information that we know so far. In this video, I'm going to be covering the backstory to the mode, the gameplay and content of the mode, all of the tactical upgrades that are available, and then I'll actually walk you guys through how the mode will actually work from start to finish, and the overall goal and all of that. So there is plenty to cover, but I will do my best to keep it short and sweet, and if you don't really care too much for the backstory and stuff like that, then I will leave some timestamps for you guys to skip ahead to the other sections. So anyway, the story behind Hazard Zone, which obviously blends in with the rest of the story for 2042, is that in the year 2040, a worldwide blackout event reduces the total number of satellites by 70%. Tensions rise between the US and Russia. In the wake of this event, temporary low-orbit satellites became the new method of gathering intel for both sides. These satellites collect aerial photography, heat map imagery, ID scanning, and other valuable types of intel. These temporary satellites are launched and then brought down in US and Russian controlled territory, allowing the occupying forces to collect the intel, which is stored on radiation hardened data drives. For the NOPATs, the intel is valuable for their own safety and the safety of all the other non-combative NOPATs. As a NOPAT task force, you and your squad set out to acquire these valuable data drives as the satellite capsules are being brought down. So in layman's terms, there are just a bunch of satellites being crashed to the ground all around the world, and due to the valuable intel in those satellites, your job is to locate and retrieve that information before extracting from the map safely. Now, in terms of the content that we're getting in Hazard Zone, the awesome news is that all 7 of the launch maps will be available at launch in Hazard Zone, rather than there just being like one map, as is the case with most games like this. So there's going to be a ton of different variety right from the get-go, which is obviously very exciting to see. Now, on top of that, all 10 specialists will be playable in Hazard Zone as well, and I'm sure once we get more specialists, they will obviously be playable too. However, they are restricted in this mode, so you can only have one of each specialist per team. For example, you can't have 3 Caspers in one squad, only one of each character, obviously to keep it balanced and also to force players into sort of making the right choices for their specialists, similar to how it is in games like Apex or Overwatch, for example. In terms of the player count, each game will include 24 real players if you're on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, or if you're on next gen, so Xbox Series X or S, PlayStation 5 or PC, there will be 32 real players, and then scattered throughout the map there will also be AI that are essentially guarding or patrolling certain areas of the map to make it all the more intense. Now, I know a lot of people who are fans of Warzone or games like that probably think 24 to 32 players is a little bit disappointing considering the player count in most BR games. However, this game is obviously not a BR, and it's much closer to the likes of Escape from Tarkov or Hunt Showdown, both of which only have 8 to 12 or 8 to 14 players per lobby. So even on previous gen, Hazard Zone is actually going to have double the player count of most games in this sort of extraction type of genre, and so I'm definitely interested to see how that plays out. Now, quickly before we get into the sort of run through of how the mode works, I'm going to quickly talk you guys through the tactical upgrade system to provide a little bit of context for the mode itself. On screen you can see all of the different tactical upgrades, and feel free to pause it if you do want to read each and every one. And as you can see, there are 2 free upgrades, and then there are 13 that can be purchased with dark market credits. Now, before you freak out, because let's be honest, we all have PTSD from loot boxes and pay to win schemes, the dark market credits are not tied to real money whatsoever. These are essentially what you earn from the game itself, and obviously the more you earn, the more upgrades you can acquire heading into each game if you choose to do so, but there are obviously those free upgrades that you can get either way. Obviously, some of these upgrades are stuff like more ammo to carry with you, more throwables, the ability to heal a little bit faster. None of them are going to make you unbeatable, but obviously the more upgrades you and your squad make heading into the game, the better equipped you'll be for the battle. Now, finally, I'm going to be walking you guys through exactly what the mode entails from start to finish, and essentially the entire goal of the mode, because all of the info I've shared so far probably makes no sense in the grand scheme of things, but that was just all context for this section, and so without further ado, let's go through what the mode actually entails. So there are 5 key phases of each match within in Hazard Zone, all of which are absolutely pivotal to your success. The first phase is to strategize and equip. You and your teammates will head into the mission briefing area where you'll gain some intel about the upcoming match, likely the map you're playing on and all that kind of stuff, and then between the group you'll decide on an insertion point, essentially choosing where you want to spawn into the game. You'll then be able to choose which specialist you want to run as a team, and you'll be able to spend your dark market credits that we talked about earlier on your weapons and loadouts, as well as those tactical upgrades that we talked about earlier, if you do want to spend some credits on them. Once you're done there, you'll head into phase 2 of the match, which is the insertion. You'll be taken via chopper from the Exodus, which is the ship that we see in obviously the Exodus short film, to the location you chose in the briefing area, and from here the game will be underway. The third phase is to then retrieve. Like I mentioned at the start, there will be downed satellites scattered throughout the map, and your goal is to locate as many of these as you can and try to successfully get the data drives from those satellites. There will be satellites that are already downed when the game begins, but mid-game there will actually be more satellites that you'll be able to see falling from the sky, and these ones are even more valuable than the ones at the beginning of the game, yet obviously they will be much more dangerous since other players will see them landing too. You may find yourself lucky and manage to get some data drives without encountering any enemies, however there's also the chance that enemy squads will be going to the same satellite locations as you, so obviously there will be plenty of intense gunfights as you and your squad fight over those data drives, and keep in mind that if you and your team all die, the game is over. Now you can be downed and then revived if you can make it to safety and a teammate can pick you up, so it's not an instant death or anything like that, or if you do fully die, there are actually what's called reinforcement uplinks located around the map where your surviving teammates can actually bring you back into the match if they manage to use them safely. So obviously you do want to avoid death, but if you die it's not the end of the game just yet. Only when your entire squad is dead is the game over. Now on top of just yourself and the other squads out there are actually occupying forces scattered throughout the map, which are AI soldiers that essentially make life difficult, patrolling and defending different locations and making it even harder to successfully steal the data drives from those satellites. So there are only 24 to 32 players depending on platform, but there will be plenty of AI to just make it all the more intense as well, much the same as those games like Escape from Tarkov and Hunt Showdown. Now moving on to the fourth phase of the match, this is the first extraction. Retrieving those data drives throughout the game is key, but you need to extract those from the map successfully for any of that to matter. If you don't extract or you die, then everything you gained will be lost. The first extraction is essentially an early out. Let's just say you and your team do really well early on and you just want to count your lucky stars and get the hell out of there, then the first extraction is the time to do that. The game will obviously alert you when this is happening. It will select a randomized location as the extraction zone, and you and the team will need to get to that location before the CV-38 Condor leaves, but obviously keep in mind that enemy teams might have the same idea and you might actually find yourself fighting over those extraction points in order to board the Condor. As for the fifth and final phase of the match, this is the last extraction. All of the players left in the game who didn't extract the first time will need to battle over this final extraction zone, and with the storm rolling in, once this Condor leaves it is a no-fly zone and the players left behind will not be able to extract from the map, meaning they will lose everything. So if you leave it until the last extraction, you must extract successfully or lose everything that you gained in that match. If even one of you makes it on board though, you will all be rewarded for that still, so obviously you do all want to make it out alive, but if you need to sacrifice yourself just to guarantee one teammate makes it on safely, that is a viable option as well. Now at the completion of the game, you and your team will be rewarded with dark market credits depending on how well you did. Credits are earned through various actions, but the best way to get credits is by extracting those data drives. So obviously if you and the boys make it out alive with plenty of data drives, then you'll bring home a boatload of credits after the game, rewarding you for your performance. Obviously these credits stack up, so if you do really well and earn yourself a heap, then heading into the next game you can actually spend some of those credits on those tactical upgrades in the briefing area, meaning that your performance and your results in one game actually carry over to future games. If you spend a bunch of credits pre-game and then end up dying in that next game, then you will lose all of those credits that you spent, so it's completely up to you to decide how you want to spend your credits, whether you go into each game without any upgrades, meaning if you die then it's not obviously that big of a deal, or you do load up on those tactical upgrades, giving you and the team a much better chance at winning, but risk losing big time if you can't successfully extract. This game mode sounds like a whole lot of fun for me personally. It seems like it's going to be absolutely chaotic and just as intense as any other experience out there, and I cannot wait to get stuck into it. I'm going to be uploading my reaction to the trailer later on today, and then tomorrow I will actually have a trailer breakdown going over every single thing we noticed in the Hazard Zone trailer, so expect to see plenty more Hazard Zone content in the coming days. Hazard Zone is confirmed to be launching when the game actually launches on November 19th, so in the game at launch we will have All Out Warfare, Battlefield Portal and Battlefield Hazard Zone, which is obviously very exciting. I personally was expecting this to launch sometime next year, just because that's generally how these type of things go, but this will be here at launch, so that is definitely very, very exciting. I'm keen to hear what you guys think of the mode so far down in the comments, so be sure to let me know your thoughts. I know this type of mode is definitely not for everyone, so I'm sure All Out Warfare and Portal will still satisfy most people more than enough, but for me personally, I am super excited for Hazard Zone, and I can see myself absolutely grinding the hell out of this mode for the next couple of years. That is going to do it for this one though, guys. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. If you guys want to support the content that I make here on YouTube, then consider becoming a channel member. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there on the battlefield.